ending in 8175.
Caller 8175, you have the floor.
Hi, Board. This is Melanie Kane, Public Guardian, Public Administrator. I made it very clear that I'll be back on December 9th. It's really unfortunate that we find ourselves in this position, especially due to a medical condition. The agreement on the agenda, or at least before going into her contract, but just on the agenda item, it says the period of time until there is no longer a need for an interim. But in the contract that's proposed, that language is omitted. So if you approve this today, that means the social service director would be the public guardian and public administrator for an entire year. And I still have a contract with the county. I am still the public guardian and the public administrator, and I will be back on Monday, December 9th. Thank you.
Melanie, are you still there? Hold on. Okay.
Yes.
No, oh. I have a question about the qualifications of Erica Martinez, who's presently in your office.
Erica Martinez is in my office. She's certified. She would be able to handle things until Monday. I mean, it's Tuesday afternoon, and I'm going to be back on Monday. So the office has been getting along fine, and I won't go into those details, but there hasn't been any outside person making decisions, and it's nothing personal, but when you're making life decisions, you should be certified. Actually, it's a requirement, and you need training as such.
As long as we have you on the line, have you been given information from personnel in order to return? And have you returned that information?
Yes, and yes, I have. And if you want more additional information, I can give you details if you want that to be public, Supervisor Hanson. I'm happy to provide that.
It's my understanding that you had a date where you were unavailable, and that's why the board made this decision. And now you're saying that date is no longer standing, but yet the county has a procedure in allowing you back to return before that date. So I just want to make sure that you've done what you need to do in order to come back sooner than the date that you originally proposed.
Everything has been done.
Are you going to take more callers, or?
Is there anybody else on the phone? Okay.
I have a few comments. So
I have a question
when you bring
for
it
Gabe.
back to the board.
Yeah, I just need to know if she in fact has been released to come back so soon, or in fact is she not. That would be the only reason that we would need to appoint an interim.
This is a confidential
I understand
issue.
that.
It's a health issue, so I don't.
She's brought it into public, in which case the only question is whether or not she's going to be able to come back on the date that she says she is. If not, then the board needs to move forward with the direction for an interim. And then if she is, I think we could probably go another direction.
Well, my question would be, did a medical doctor sign?
Well, we can't get into that.
Yeah, we can.
No, we can't.
A medical doctor must have given her a reason not to come to work.
I'm not
Supervisor
getting into the
Mel.
confidential documents and health
Is-
issues. I'm not touching it. I'm not going anywhere near it, although there's more information. I'm not going near it. I'm drawing my line.
Right.
You guys can go
The
there. I'm not
question,
going
the
there.
question is,
Supervisor,
and
it's a personnel issue. I would
Yes.
not go into that.
she was just unavailable up until a certain date, which made the board act upon appointing an interim to cover the time between here and that date, which was quite a ways out, more than a week. A short term, we certainly wouldn't have considered that. But now, given additional information, if she's allowed to return sooner, or will be coming back sooner, and it's been approved by administration to come back, then this is a moot issue, and we don't need to move forward. So the only question at hand is whether or not she can come back at the time she says she can.
Well,
With no other medical.
It's moot, I assume.
Well, I don't know.
It's not moot as far as day-to-day operations and who's authorized to sign things. I will say there was a request before I knew there were any issues. There was a request from her staff as to how to proceed with the document
It was
because
necessary.
there was nobody to sign the document.
It was necessary.
And so that is the issue here, is to continue the operations of the department for the benefit of the public, particularly those that are more needy. So we do need somebody that's authorized, capable of signing documents and moving things forward.
Wasn't that kind of covered
That's the
with
need.
the Erica Martinez? Is it Erica Martinez? Is that her name? That question?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part. 'cause
I
was talking.
apologize.
Maybe.
I believe that's why that question was asked about
Erica.
Erica. Is she can do those?
Oh, I don't know why the question was asked. It wasn't my question. But Erica did send a request in saying, we have this document, we need it signed, how do we do it, and whatnot. And that was our first indication, one of the first indications that there's something going on and we need to get this department in a position to continue providing services. So that's the need here.
I
I
just
think I
believe that,
can,
okay.
I think I can put some of this to rest just by saying these. First, I think maybe it wouldn't hurt to wait a week if that return doesn't happen. It's still, I don't know what harm is done because I don't know what else we can do right now. But we have precedents. I printed out, and it seems insensitive under the certain circumstances that are going on. It does happen to be the Solid Waste Management Agency, and there was a succession plan in place that has occurred multiple times with medical absence, and we have many other department heads who've been absent or left, and we didn't go to another department in order to get that person to cover that department's work. We normally use somebody internally, and there is a whole written document. I have an extra I'm willing to share with you, Gabe, if you want to see it, with regard to succession planning and addressing who can sign what and that kind of thing, and acting in the absence of the department head. And that would be even on vacations or other kinds of absences that are not necessarily medical absence. We have a history here that has occurred for many, many years with regard to how we handle this kind of thing, and that's one comment that I have. This is the document that I'm using for, if anybody wants to see it, I'm happy to pass it down with regard to the succession planning. This happens to be the one that was approved on August 1st with Solid Waste Management Agency. And then I do have a problem with regard to the language of the amendment. And this is without talking to Melanie or any of the board here or anything, but it doesn't say the same thing that it says on the agenda item. It says that she's going to serve as the interim for a year, and then it goes on to explain the 5% increase and has her salary here. There should be an addendum to her contract that says the 5% increase, which is also how we've handled it in the past. And the 5% bump is only during the time it's temporary while the person is absent. It could be, a few days to a few months up until the time that the person either returns for a legal absence of any sort, or if they have to abandon the job if it goes over a certain amount of time, then we would have to appoint the interim in a different way, or we would fly the job to hire at that point when we know that the person isn't returning. So we have precedents that has been set on how this is handled, and this is not it. Ms. Emery, I just want to say to you, and I did send you a text earlier, but I just want to say it out loud. None of this discussion has anything to do with you. I really appreciate your willingness to cooperate and to take on additional responsibilities, and there should be compensation for doing so, even if it were Erica Martinez. But I think to keep things running smoothly in that department with the least amount of disruption, that it would normally be smoother if it were somebody in the office that already has the certifications and that kind of thing. So I did ask Becky Emery to come in with what her qualifications are or are not with regard to this law and the court legal requirements for making decisions, because this is a very unique department, being public guardian, where the person who manages these cases is responsible for other people's lives, and they are making decisions about their medical health and in every other way about their existence once they're conserved, whatever is outlined by the court, for them to have the freedom to make choices. Some of them can vote, some of them can't, but a lot of them are restricted in many of their decisions. And this is not somebody that you can just pull in without qualifications. So I did ask Ms. Emery if she would come in and talk about what her qualifications are if we were to move forward with something like this. I'm not sure that's relevant in knowing that she'll be back on Monday. I don't know that we need to move forward with this.
Again,
That's my
the
thought.
question's been asked whether or not she has been released to return on Monday. Has she been released to return on Monday? Or is she coming back on Monday?
Council, are we able to answer that question?
This involves confidential personnel matters. I would not recommend having this discussion in an open session, certainly without the employees, express
Okay.
willingness and their being present. I will just note that this was a closed session item last week. The board had a lengthy discussion about these issues, and the board did take affirmative action, as reported out earlier this morning, to appoint Ms. Emery as the interim.
That was based on the understanding that it would be a long-term absence.
Understood, but that's where we're at.
Okay, and we still have Ms. Kay on the line if we need to get further clarification or permission.
It's only if she's only if she's voluntarily wanting to do that and under no duress. And again, this is a confidential personnel matter. Generally, these are not discussions
100%.
in open session.
I would like to point out that
The board could
JPA
recess to closed session to have the discussion.
There's no closed session item for this particular item on the agenda. In order to do that, you would have to make a four-fifths finding that or unanimous, since we only have 4 supervisors, that there is an off-agenda emergency that requires it. So you have to make a 4 out of 4 vote to find that emergency exists, and then you would have to take a motion to go into closed session. It's a 2-step process. And again, it's a confidential personnel matter. It is her right to privacy, and with whether or not she shares it or not, that's entirely up to her, and we don't know if she's going to share that.
And the county's bound by certain information that was received previously.
Chair, I would real quick like to address the JPA because that was brought up. The JPA employs or employed Rachel until her passing last week. In her absence, Paul was appointed interim for a little bit. And when I learned of her passing yesterday morning, immediately I called the city manager of Red Bluff, who also is the other half of this JPA. And it is up to him and I to kind of oversee the interim appointment. And we've been speaking with legal counsel and getting that ball rolling. And we have somebody lined up for interim. So it's the JPA employed
That's not
an
the same.
employee.
Yeah,
It's not the same. It's incorrect. It's not the same.
So
But
again,
what
I'd
is
just like to
what
see
is
some-
correct and what is relevant is the
Correct.
succession planning,
all right,
which
and-
could be done for all of our
Done.
departments, so
Should be
it's
done.
not a question in the future.
but I
Succession-
believe in this
you're
case,
correct.
we're absent a succession plan as well. In regards to your ask to have Ms. Emery divulge her qualifications, I think that it's important just to note during this period of time what it is that may be asked of her that maybe Erica couldn't provide. Certainly lower level decision making inside the office, somebody within the office could do that. But if there's any need for somebody at a higher level, is that even necessary? So I would entertain the idea of bringing her up here if the rest of the board would like to hear if she's qualified, or it doesn't matter. I mean, as far as
I
department
think,
head,
This is moot because
I mean,
she's
anybody-
she's coming back on Monday. And as far as time off, per doctor's instructions, that's typically a window. It's not an actual hard line in the sand. People recover at different,
Okay, well, we're not
you know,
talking about that.
so, well, we're talking about the time off and why this went
Okay,
from a
so-
couple of weeks to a year, because I don't remember that being mentioned, so.
Let's bring it back to the board then, in the sense that either we're going to go with the short time as Monday, or we have to stick with the original information, which was a long-term possible with
Things have
an
changed.
unknown.
For clarification, it was a short-term, but measured in weeks, not days.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a
And now
year. It's
that's
like a
been
not-to-exceed
adjusted.
contract. It allows room for the unforeseeable. So it could be
I-
shortened.
I
It doesn't
still
have to be
believe it's a
12
moot
months.
point.
I would like to take our time and do this more appropriately, and I'm going to make a motion to table this until a future time if needed. But I would like
the
to
next
have a
meeting.
succession plan come in that would apply to all departments.
Just table it to the next meeting.
What happens with the business?
I'm making a motion.
A personal action form, right? That, I mean, there's business that needs to be attended to.
Yeah,
What was a short-term, next week?
Yes,
Table till next week?
yes. I second that motion.
Well, and just for the board's clarification and understanding,
tabling it.
you have appointed Becky Emery as interim as of last week. This item is for the 5%
Information
increase
is
due
coming
to assume those extra duties. So just so you understand where you sit, board.
Yes.
Information has come to light that changes that. so.
But does it really matter? If we need her, then we have her approved and ready. If we do not need her, for whatever the circumstances, then we don't need her, and none of this applies. But we certainly have to be prepared.
Because there's issues with the document itself that is appointing her, I'm not willing to vote on this document anyway. So that would need to be corrected before we could vote on that, in my opinion.
The document on the agenda
I
discussion.
believe a motion on the table to table it.
I have a motion to
week.
table it. It could be till next week, but I really believe we need a succession plan.
And as you mentioned, we do have her appointed in order to assume to do whatever needs to be done. She's not going to get paid for it until, or maybe never, so.
We do have an employee waiting to be brought on for the department. And that's what we need a signature for. And in order to benefit the department and the citizens that are in need, we do need something in place.
That authority's been
this sign.
granted, and like Supervisor Carlson mentioned, we'll just work this rest of this out by next week.
I'm not certain what we're doing here, Matt. You're suggesting that we table this for a week?
Yes.
That's the motion on the floor from Supervisor Carlson, is to table this item for 1 week. You should, at the board's pleasure, take the vote.